Okay, so let's start with the first invited talk. Okay, so she's Gema Aguiló. Gema Aguiló is the CGD Retailers Director of IRI in Spain, with more than 13 years of professional experience in the field of research and consulting in different sectors. She began her career working as a risk analyst in the assurance sector and later as a credit risk analyst in Getronics. Since the beginning of IRI in Spain, Gema was the person leading the creation and development of IRI's Analytics and Ad hoc Research Department, and after 5 years, she was responsible for the New Solutions Development and Management Department at IRI's European branch. She comes back to Spain 4 years later to lead the CGD retailers area in Spain, IRI. Gema Aguiló has a degree in mathematics and statistics at the Complutense University of Madrid, and she's also a regular contributor of marketing at several Spanish universities. So I would like to thank to IRI in general and in particular to Gema for sharing her time with us. So thank you.
Hello, good morning. I have the last session before lunch, which is not easy, but I'll try to do my best. So thanks to the organization for inviting us to collaborate in this very, very interesting, for as far as I've seen in the last sessions, Congress. First of all, I'm not going to go into how to say, statistical, mathematical research as you have been presenting so far. I will be very focused on what has happened. No forecasts, no estimates, no regression models, not at all. But I want to give you a flavor of what has happened in the Spanish market. First, we will start with some figures of our countries where we are present in Europe as well, but going in more detail of what has happened in the FMCG market in Spain. First of all, just looking at the title, national brands are back as private label slows down. This is really what has happened, and this is an answer for a question that has been made to us as a retailer panel-based company for many, many years, a question coming from the manufacturers, of course. We were not able to give that answer to say, okay, this is the saturation point of the private label, but it seems that now we can see some light on what's the saturation point of the private label. We'll see in figures later on. How long do I have? How many time? 40 minutes? It's fine, yeah? Maximum 40 minutes, okay. You are hungry, I understand. Okay. Okay, so, first of all, as I said before, there are some figures about what has happened in other countries in terms of macroeconomics. It seems that the macroeconomics start having a good shape, right? Only in Italy we have some unemployment and GDP negative figures, but in general it looks well. However, if we look at what's happening in FMCG sector, it seems that the response is not, or the market is not reacting as fast as we would like regarding the macroeconomics. But to be honest, when the crisis started, it was the less affected as well. So we can expect also the positive figures of macroeconomics impacting also less in FMCG. And this is what's happening in France and Germany. They are performing pretty well. In Spain, it's not that bad. These are figures of 2014. it's even better this year. The 6 months or 5 months of data we have in 2015 are even better than in 2014. But there are some countries in which they are still struggling in the FMCG sector results. If we look at what's happening in terms of private label in those countries, okay, there's a very big difference of the performance in private label in Spain and performance in private label in other countries. You can see that about 40% of market share compared to 30, 20, 28 in other countries. I have to mention here that hard discounters are excluded of this analysis. Okay, so there is a trick here. It means that in Germany, maybe it's undervaluated, taking into account that hard discount is not there. And also we have to consider that in Spain is neither included private label, but our larger retailer is not considered as a hard discount, but the way they deal with the private label and their assortment is like they were being a hard discounter, okay? But they are not a hard discounter because they are having more brands that a hard discounter is expected to have on their shelves, but they are promoting and pushing the private label as if they were a real hard discounter. This is Mercadona, of course. And this is the reason why we have that big private label market share, okay? Oops, okay. What's happening in terms of comparison, national brands and private label? If we compare the price gap between both sets of brands, we can see that the largest gaps are happening in France and Germany. As you can see, it's more than 40 points gap in Germany, almost 40 in France. For almost all the countries, except in Greece, the price gap are narrowing. It means that the gap is getting closer between both sets of brands. And in Spain, if we look at 5 or 6 years ago, not so much. If we look at 3 or 4 years ago, the price gap has gone from 40 to 27%. Okay, so it means that prices are getting narrow between both sets of brands. This is due to a couple of factors. The first one is that national brands are making very high efforts, very big efforts to recover the market share they have been losing in the previous years. That's the first point, the first thing that has happened. The second thing is that private label brands are launching a wider range of options to shoppers. They are no longer being only low-cost brands. They have, I've seen in previous presentations, you were mentioning about ecological brands, brands that are produced by local manufacturers, so they are looking added value they are looking for added value into their private label brands. That's the reason why they are able to position private label at lower price and getting closer to price of national brands. So both aspects are making the gap to get closer. And this is what is helping also manufacturers to recover the space they have been losing in last years. If we look at promotion, again, well, you can see that the level of promotions is very different across countries. Also, the typology of promotions. For instance, in the UK, it's very common buy one, get one free, for instance. In Italy, they are pushing a lot with price reduction. In Spain, we are very focused on special packs, which is changing the size of the product and getting at the same price, for instance. So different type of promotions. And we can also see in Spain, for instance, in all the countries, they are increasing, almost all the countries, increasing the level of promotion in 2014. In Spain, in the last year, there has been a relevant increase of promotions. In the first half of the year, it happened in one retailer that usually they didn't run any type of promotion. That's the market leader. It was a trial for a couple of months. And in the second half of the year, it was about the hypermarkets. The hypermarkets trying to recover the loss of market share they are having. We will see later why. They push a lot with promotions, especially through national brands, which are the ones pushing more promotion to recover the space in the market. Okay, what's happening in concrete in Spain? We have a lot of different indicators that show positive, negative perspectives. What's happening here? We have macroeconomics, which looks okay. Unemployment, it's still high, but it's decreasing. It's at almost 24%. Deflection, minus 0.6. What's very important, the confidence index has grown in the last year. Due to the, well, as you know, all the politicians, crisis is still here and so on, but they are talking a lot about macroeconomics indicators growth. So it has impacted in the confidence index of the shoppers. And we will see how it has good impact also in the final, in some figures, in some macroeconomic figures. But negative, population is decreasing. The consumption is starting to recover compared to previous year. That's true also that 2013 was a very bad year. We will see figures later on from an FMCG standpoint. So it was not that difficult to recover in 2014, but it has happened. Private label is starting to stagnate across the last months and previous year, while national brands are starting to grow. This is the question mark we have here. Have we already got the saturation point of the private label? We don't know. We will see later. And also the shopper, because it's all about the shopper, you know. So the shopper had changed a lot from before, during, and not after, but now in this situation of starting to recover within the crisis environment. They have gone from a poorly emotional shopper to a poorly rational shopper, and now we have already a balance between ration and emotion. They have became smarter, of course, but they are not purely driven by price or reasons as they used to be 2 or 3 years ago. We run frequently shopper studies in IRI, and this is what they say, and this is what they show in their day-to-day shopping habits as well. Okay, so as we have seen in FMCG, the results are not as good in previous year, but there are some pillars of our economy, which is the tourism and being out of home, the leisure, as this is the reason why this is one of the characteristics of Spain. And I think that one of the reasons why you are here in Barcelona and not in other city, maybe. We have seen for the first time in many years as the out-of-home evolution has been positive. You can see here it's kind of an estimate of 2014, but that's not real. That's not really an estimate. It's also actual data. We went from minus 3.1 decrease in the out-of-home consumption to plus 3% from one year to another. So the results were very, very positive in that sector. And it impacts very much to our industry, to FMCG, to everything, and to all the GDP also in Spain. We ran also a shopper study wherein we could ask our, not shoppers, our consumers, which were their habits related to the consumption out of home. And if we look at this table, there are 3 columns. The first one is before the crisis, during, in 2012, and in 2014, we ask again. And we can see as all the consumption that was done for the main meals, dinner, lunch, has gone to the previous, to the situation we had prior to the crisis, but we have even doubled the breakfast time consumption out of home, and the last one is for, you know that the trend of mixing in Spain, it's something very, has a lot of penetration amongst population, and people started to follow the trend at home, having all the mixes at home, and now they have gone outside and started to have them on cafeterias, bars, pubs, and so on. So that's the reason why it has increased so much. And of course, the tourism is very, very important also for the economy, for us. And you can see the very positive trends. It was last year, but this year, in May, compared to May previous year, we have already increased 5% of the people visiting the Spanish hotels. So the trends for this year are even better than what we have been having in previous years. Okay, so if we look at the FMCG results, what we can capture in our retailer panel, what we see is that since 2011, there has been a decrease. You can see there in the bubbles in sky blue, which is the value sales evolution. In dark blue, this is the consumption evolution. In red, price evolution. It means that the consumption has been negative, has had a negative evolution in 2013 for the first time in the history of when we have data, which is about 20 years ago. Okay, the first time that consumption has decreased. Why did it happen? In 2012, there was an increase of taxes in Spain, but manufacturers didn't apply to final price of products until the following year, 2013. That's the reason why we can see the plus 1.3 increase in price in 2013. And consumers and shoppers punish manufacturers and retailers for doing so. That's the reason why consumption decreased so much. The following year, what did manufacturers do? They started to put actions in place to recover that. Prices fall down again, minus 0.5, and consumption started to recover, but not enough to compensate, to offset the price decrease. That's the reason why last year we got negative trend in value sales. It means that the turnover of all the retailers and manufacturers decreased compared to previous year. But for this year, we are starting to see positive results. In the first part of the year, we have had already got increment in the consumption. What will happen in the overall year to 2015? This is a forecast. This is not real. This is something we have run some statistics in there, and we are foreseeing an increase of 0.8 compared to previous year. What we have had in the first part of the year has been better than 0.8. That's due to the fact that the first part of 2014 was very, very bad, but not the second part of the year. So that's the reason why we think that, of course, the forecast has to be smooth compared to what had happened in the first part. Okay, if we look at the evolution of demand and price, we can see the difference of what was happening before crisis and what's happening during crisis. Before crisis, of course, there's always a relationship between price and consumption, of course, but before crisis, wherever price increase was happening in the market, the consumption was increasing year after year. You can see the sky blue lines until 2008, that was always positive. But it has not happened the same before crisis, during crisis, sorry. Prices have started to go decreasing compared to previous year. Some year in 2013, when prices went up, demand went down compared to previous year. But we are starting to see positive numbers when the prices are getting stable and the confidence index of the shoppers as well. This is what we are seeing in the last point, what we have done during this year. Okay. It seems that price is still driving the decision of the consumer, right? Brand is also there, but price is the first lever for making decision for the shoppers. If we look at the evolution of private labels and national brands, we can see that due to the effect of the price, since 2008, private label has increased 24% compared to the sales they used to have before crisis, while national brands decreased by 5%. However, if we look at the last 2 years, we can see that the evolution of the sales for private label has been negative in 2014, and it started to be positive and increasing for national brands, which is a good sign of recovery for manufacturers. Okay. Private label has always been driven in the first chart by demand, which is the dark side of the chart, the dark blue, while in national brands there have been a lot of fluctuations amongst price and consumption evolution. it has been confusing the shopper. Private label have always had a good and a standard pattern, and it has been more clearer for the shopper what they could have been expecting from private label. While from manufacturer brands, you can see a lot of prices up, prices down, year after year. So when there was not a price decrease, there was a lot of promotion. So there was a lot of confusion for shoppers. Once they have started to stabilize in 2014 is when shoppers are starting to perceive national brands as they used to perceive them 7 years ago. In terms of promotions, not only, but the big part of promotions are driven by national brands, which is the red column. We can see an increase of private label promotions in last year. It was driven by larger supermarket. They tried to run some promotion during last year, but they stopped after that. And this year, there are some hypermarkets that are running a lot of promotion with their private label as well. Take into account that promotions is one of the ways that national brands have to get closer to private label in terms of pricing and final comparison price quality. That's the reason why they are almost doubling the amount of promotion they are doing. Okay, going in depth into the channels. Private label is, in the last year, as I said before, losing market share, but it's impacting everywhere but large supermarkets. Okay, in large supermarkets, we have the largest player and with a very strong private label as well. Also, large supermarkets, which is the red bar, the red piece of the bar. In 10 years, they have grown by 20% of the market share compared to other outlets. The reason behind that, there are a couple of, or 3 reasons. The first one is that there are some law constraints to open doors for an hypermarket. It doesn't happen in the same way for supermarkets, so it's very different for a hypermarket to grow surface of sales. The second is that supermarkets, there were many regional supermarkets that are growing and expanding to the whole Spanish territory. So they have, of course, room for improvement, increasing the sales space. And the third is that, as per the reaction of the shopper during the crisis, the shopper wants to control for expenses. So what they are pursuing or what they are looking for is having a smallest tickets and a smaller baskets when they go to the store. They prefer to increase frequency, and in such a case, of course, proximity stores are the winners because they prefer to go every day to buy a small basket rather than going to an hypermarket, because in the hypermarket they cannot control so much for the expenses. What about the manufacturers? Well, we have classified manufacturers in 3 groups: the top 15, the greater 15 holdings. These are non-manufacturers holdings. The second group between 51 and 100, and the rest. We can see that the rest are the ones that have been increasing in the last year, and it happened the same previous years. Why? Because they are more flexible to implement changes, to adapt to new situation. Big holdings are difficult for them to change. They are very, they have a lot of constraints from headquarters and very difficult to adapt to local situations. It does not happen for the smallest one. However, during last year, the half of the top, almost the half of the top 50 already got some growth. The growth of those 23, we can see that only 2 of them were increasing double digit. This is what you can see here. And the largest ones didn't increase. The ones with a turnover greater than 500K, they didn't increase. They didn't increase. They were decreasing compared to previous year. In terms of impact on the overall FMCG, we can see that private labels are the ones that have been contributing to FMCG growth during the last 6 years. The overall growth has come through private label. This is the red bar, comparing what was the industry of FMCG in 2008 to what happened in 2014. Also, in the last year, we can see that some national brands are starting to contribute to that growth. However, as they are not big enough to compensate the losses that private label has had. Okay, what's happening in the retailer environment? Top 10 retailers in Spain. The top 10 are making more than 80%. There is a big concentration, but if we look at the top 3, they are making more than 65% of the sales. And some of them, the first one is increasing. It was increasing in 2013, and it still increased in 2014. This is the yellow basket, the logo of Mercadona. And they are slowing a growth, okay, but still growing. Which are the winners here? The winners are the one concentrating on running some merger and acquisitions. In fact, Dia has acquired El Árbol recently, so next year they will have a big portion of the market. There is a lot of concentration, but basically regional retailers are growing, and the ones with a strategy kind of soft hard discount, which are Mercadona, Dia, Lidl. These are the ones, the one winning. But at the end of the day, what really matters is shopper, right? The shopper, if we look at before, in a prosperous economy, the emotion is everything. The reason, the rationale is behind there. We do not pay so much attention to rationale when we are in a prosperous economy. When we asking shoppers during the crisis period, it seemed that only the reason and the rationale were driving the decision-making processes. When the situation is starting to stabilize and some macroeconomics and confidences are getting better, there is a balance between both. So shoppers have become smarter. They know what they have to look. That's no longer, I will purchase what you offer to me. No, you have to offer to me what I need. I want a good shopper experience. I don't want good products. I want a good shopper experience. So there is a balance between emotion and reason in their decision-making process. And due to the fact of the ration and emotion, all of us are becoming more omni, you know, very popular concept. Omni shoppers are becoming unloyal because although they like some brands, they are smarter. They look for different prices. For some products, they will look for some brands. For some others, they will look for some prices. They want to have good experiences across different channels. So they are looking for having good experiences in the store, out of the store, in internet, in the street. Good experiences everywhere. And they are present everywhere. Not only we have to impact them on the shelf, we have to impact them everywhere. In fact, if we look at what's happening in FMCG, that's exactly the opposite, because all the decisions, or 63% of the decisions, are made in the store. Only 37% are planned and predetermined. What happens here is that, as this is what's happening, because they say and because retailers know, retailers are not investing much in the omni-channel. They are investing a lot in the store. But at the same time, as they are not investing out of the store, shoppers do not have good experiences out of the store. And again, all the decisions are made in the store. It's kind of a chicken and egg debate, isn't it? So who's changing the game to start providing better experiences across all the channels? This is about a retailer's and manufacturer's responsibility. This is not about shopper responsibility. Shopper is only reacting to what they have, which is good experience in the store, not anywhere. In fact, if we ask for of what kind of product do they buy online, if you look at the sky blue, these are the ones related to FMCG products. The rest are not, are other type of industries. So FMCG is the one with lower rate of purchasing in online. I'm still wondering, well, I think I know why it happens. The shopper experience they have online is not good enough. Fresh products, they don't feel confident about purchasing fresh products online. The refund policies are not good enough. There are a lot of things to improve. I'm wondering what I feel, why personally Gema, I feel more confident purchasing a pair of shoes on internet than 3 apples. Why? Why should it be so difficult? But retailers are not investing in there. The one that will be the first will be the winner, of course. And there is a lot of potential in there. There is a study that was made across different countries, and in concrete in Spain. Now we have a market share of the e-commerce of 1.4 compared to 5 in the UK, I think, about 7 in China. So there is an estimation of growth that could get to 10%, but of course something has to be done in there. Because the value for what will say who's the winner is the one that will invest in the shopper, not in the product. The value is no longer in the product. The shopper doesn't want to see the brands on the web page. They want to see something which is comfortable to make the shopping, to build the shopping list. They don't want to see a list of products. They want to see good, they want to have good experiences in there. But to do that, we have to provide them good experiences in the store, online, via communication, asking them what they want. No longer products, but good shopper experiences. And that's all from my side. It's a small summary of what we have seen. Now, if you have questions or comments? Well, we are running this type of analysis every other year. We are running one this year. This is something that is available for subscriptors initially. However, in any event that we run a lot of events, there's always there are always some insights coming from, in this case, this is coming from the quali part of the analysis. We have a quali and a quanti, okay? And this is coming from the quali part. This is an extract of what has been said by shoppers during the last years from these studies. Yeah. In? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Just a follow-up question on that one. I'm interested in the methodology that you are using to capture consumers' emotions, because from my point of view, traditional methods doesn't really capture consumers' emotions properly. And I'm just wondering what kind of methodology is used.
The quali is very simple. It's first of all, it's based on syndicated studies, and we talk about 40, 50 different categories in order to capture different emotions, because of course it's not the same talking about soft drinks than talking about facial care or rice. Of course, we have to deal with different type of products, and the methodology are focus groups. We would love to do it, but we are not provided with margins. Mm-hmm.
That's what I know of. So, do you think that in the future Mercadona is going to put money, put effort on national brands again, and it's going to lose their own brand? And the second question is related to the second retailer. Now we know that Mercadona is leader in terms of selling surface in Spain. Is about 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Or less of market share, according to the last market report.
50.
15.
15 market share of surface. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
to the last market report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the second retailer very close to Mercadona with a share of about 14%, 14.1 is Dia.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that in the future Dia is going to be able to win the first position in the retail sector? Or, because I think that Dia is gaining sales. They have bought El Árbol. El Árbol is about
Mhm.
For example, in the south, in Almería and Andalucía, El Árbol has a very good positioning.
Mhm.
In my opinion, I am a client. It seems that they are doing very well. In my opinion, Mercadona has reached the first position, and they are looking at what is happening and trying to react to this situation. So, what do you think?
To the acquisitions of DIA, you mean, or the changes of the second? Okay, your first question, I can answer from a political or no political standpoint. What do you prefer? I don't think Mercadona has got his top level yet, honestly. In fact, they entered into the País Basque in October last year, or more or less in October, and there is a lot of room for improvement in there yet. So they have a space for increasing surface. I don't think they are going to change their policy regarding national brands. They are pushing and are still pushing a lot with private label. They are the unique, in fact, when we ask to shoppers, you know that they do not how to say, acknowledge the Mercadona brand as a private label brand. They are talking about the Carrefour private label brand, the Dia private label brand, but they are talking about Hacendado, Deli Plus. They are not talking as a private label. So they are acting with their brand as if it was a national brand. Of course, they will continue having top national brands, because when they run the assortment rationalization in 2008, they list a lot of good brands, and they have to change their mind a couple of months later because they were losing sales. But once it's done, they are positioning their brand as a very kind of national brand, investing a lot, launching and innovating. There is a lot of innovation in Mercadona's brand, things that do not exist. They are creating categories with kind of mixing different things. It's difficult to think that they will go one step back and start working with manufacturers than they used to do in the past. Of course, they grew a lot and they will not be able to keep that pace, but not going back. And the second question, sorry, was about Dia. Yes, it's about Dia. Okay. Dia has purchased El Árbol. Dia purchased or acquired what was Slacker in Spain a couple of years ago. And they performed not too bad in 2013, but in 2014, they lose some growth because they are very, very focused on integrating all those acquisitions. So there is time still to get, they need a lot of time to reach Mercadona in that way, because they have a very different policy. Also, they have changed a lot in previous years, because if you remember Dia 10 years ago, it has nothing to do with the stores now. They are modern, they are cleaner, it's totally different. So they have changed a lot. Nevertheless, I would like to have the crystal ball to say when Dia will reach Mercadona. I don't know. I don't know. Any other question? Thank you.